Hello, it's a dark episode for March the 4th, 2022, and we're in another mobile mood, walking along, getting our walks in before heading off to bed, where I terrorize my neighborhood by walking around and chatting on my phone to myself. I am the neighborhood eccentric, perhaps, though, as you walk through a neighborhood and there's all the drawn curtains and God knows what's happening behind those curtains. I might be the most normal person in the neighborhood. You never know. What did this normal person do today? We've had our visit by brother-in-law and little niece, which has been great. Little niece has been apparently completely managed to exhaust Theo, my little Havanese, who actually got up on Jaw's lap and was like, I'm done. And little niece came over and wanted to cuddle, and Theo was like, no, I'm done. Which, wow, for a little spark plug like Theo, that's quite an accomplishment. So they actually collapsed on the floor and had a good sleep in the afternoon because of that. I was at work, back to actually working with having a coworker versus working solo, which is nice. That all went fairly good. Decided to start reading Roy Kiyuka's Pear Tree Poems, which it's I'm of two minds on this because most everything else I've been reading has been stuff that's out of copyright. This is sort of in copyright, but I'm kind of going by the thing of I'm doing as an exercise. Nobody else is actually going to see this. I doubt if there's if someone wants to say, hey, you're violating the copyright of this work, and having some bozo in his little office poorly read out poetry is gonna take money away from the state of Roy Kiyuka. They can that I'm fair cop. They can ding me, but I think I will do it just because I'm enjoying reading poetry out as a way of improving my vocal stylings. I don't know what the hell to call it. Me try and get better talking on camera. And I can tell actually I'm gonna do my check-in with my no ums no ahs tomorrow, so I'll talk about that then. Not much else. I've been thinking a lot about Lots Away, mostly about kind of the asexual part of it, but also just sort of tinkering around. I've tried a lot of times. I really rush into a review, and thus my review isn't that great. This time I'm trying to I've noted down various points, and I've been I dipped into it again today and looked at it and came up with I'll put fiddling with the order, adding things, trying to hone it slightly, so maybe it'll make a better review. Also doing a little bit, very minimal, but at least some research on the idea of asexuality, this being an Lots Away being a ace character, and Darcy Little Badger being someone who identifies as asexual, and that the variety of things that could mean, of not having a romantic or a sexual attraction to other people at all, which isn't to say that you just don't have a libido. Some people don't have a fairly low sex drive, but there's also some people who have high sex drive but just aren't sexually attracted to other people. You can have one without the other. You can, so that was interesting. And I think my main, I'll get into this in the review, but my main thing was, it's like I was reacting to the characters, and there's a couple of reasons why I react to the characters and they read very young. But one of the things I did think was, hey, do they fuck? They're teenagers. They're 17. Like, they should want to fuck. And it's like, oh, but the main character is asexual. I think maybe it would have been interesting to have, I think the thing is, Darcy Little Badger has a tendency to write all her characters. They all sound the same, and they all sort of present as, maybe, as that same sexuality as well. So, I don't know. But, yeah, it just kind of brought me up short of like, oh, I have a certain conception of how people should be, and if they're not what I think they should be, I'm reading them as infantilized, or is not infant, yeah, or as young, as very young, when, you know, they're just not presenting with what my expectations of sexuality is, which isn't, you know, which isn't to say like this YA if it was a YA novel, that they wouldn't have to be like, oh, super horny all the time, but just, I'm honestly expecting a certain amount of noticing of things, and it's not there. So, yeah, it was just, it brought me up short as like, oh, this might be, I've whacked into one of my limitations, one of my many limitations, and that's a really wonderful thing to notice. It's like, wow, thank you, Darcy Little Badger, for making me notice that. I think there's other things about your book that I'm like, some things that I really like, but yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, that has been my little progress for today, I guess. All right, I will leave it there. There's some rambling for tonight. More videos later.